Welcome to the Think Fitness Life podcast, where we bring the mind, body, and gym together so you can improve your health, increase performance, and live your best life. For more information, visit thinkfitnesslife.com. Here are your hosts, Matt Gluckman and Eric Menchie.
Welcome back. It is 2021, and this is our first episode of the Think Fitness Life podcast. We decided to talk about New Year's resolutioners, specifically why they fail. But before we get into that, Menchie's going to introduce our weekly workout.
So for the weekly workout, new year, we're going to start with some volume. First series, squat. 25 reps. Push-ups, 25 reps for men, 15 reps for women. If you're a woman and you want to hit 25, go rock it. Third one is going to be a half squat isometric hold for 45 seconds. You're going to go through squat, push-up, half squat hold, rest, recover. We're going to repeat that series 3 times. A little volume to start. After the 3 rounds, we're going to go into the next series, which is alternating reverse lunges. We're going to go 2 rounds, 45 seconds. We're going to go second exercise of series 2, supine glute bridge hold, 2 rounds, 60 seconds. And our third exercise, front plank, 2 by 60 seconds. Doesn't look like much on paper, but it's going to be volume in the first series and then a little more volume in the isometrics in the second series to start the year off. These can be done weighted, body weight if you don't have weights. If it feels easy and you do have weights, add weight to the squats and push-ups.
And just to clarify for our listeners, he was saying 3 rounds in a circuit style for the first series of the squat, push-up, half squat, and then 2 rounds of the second series circuit style with alternating reverse lunge, supine glute bridges, and front plank. And all we mean when we say supine is just laying on your back. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough workout. Definitely one for the masses. Trying to cover our lowest common denominator. We want to help these New Year's resolutioners, and that's why we wanted to do this episode, because there's a lot of statistics around New Year's and why people fail, and I think knowing the data can help you overcome it and have the foresight to deter yourself or stop yourself from hitting a speed bump when you know it's coming. So I just want to start off by saying we have a collective of 23 gym membership statistics from the U.S. Bureau of Labor, from the IHRSA report, which is the International Health, Racquet, and Sport Club Association. We have a couple studies from California, Berkeley, Stanford University, IBIS World, and Coupon Cabin. So we tried to kind of be all-inclusive when we were referencing some of these statistics here, but I just want to start by saying the first astounding statistic is 80% people who joined in January will quit within 5 months. That's an important piece to recognize.
Yeah, that's a big percentage of people who join.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes down to the kind of, I don't know, they sort of trying to get behind the mindset of a New Year's resolutioner is, I'm thinking of someone more impulsive in terms of maybe that's not even the right word. Maybe that's a little misguided, but they're waiting until a certain date to start taking care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the best approach for trying to stay sustainable and trying to approach goals. And it's kind of getting away and shifting away from the mindset of like, I just need to do something for 30 days, or I just need to do something once January hits. And I think that's why a lot of this podcast, this episode is going to be geared around the word sustainability and consistency.
Yes.
There's just such a huge piece of the puzzle that if you're not careful and you don't plan for that, you're going to the wheels are going to fall off the wagon, and it's going to be hard to get back up and gain the momentum to get that routine back and that habit back.
And it's not always like there's a start and end. The consistency part is huge with anything, especially at the gym. We have to have a consistency every day of the year, or multiple days of the year that we're going to the gym throughout. With 80% leaving the gym or quitting or giving up on their New Year's resolutions within 5 months, that's not good. So it's like you have to have that consistency to know where you're going. I mean, 5 months is what do you get to? May. And that's usually when a lot of times clubs see big drop off. Nice weather starts coming out. Summer's right around the corner. People start like edging away, which it happens, but that doesn't mean you stop your consistency of working out or your goals.
Yeah. And there's a lot of factors that play into this 80%. We're not just saying that that's total laziness too. I mean, that's a good point of other things coming up in the year. I can kind of look back into my fitness journey and notice times where I had lag periods or quit my routine in a way. And I feel like maybe what happens is you build this plan for yourself and you just stick to it, just kind of in an arduous way of like, I got to do this every Monday. I do this every Tuesday, this every Wednesday, this every Thursday, this every Friday. And rather than building towards something and having any sort of variability in your workouts or any variable that you're adjusting to get better at, you can only sustain that holding yourself accountable discipline for so long until you're just not intrinsically engaged and motivated to keep going. And I look back and how my routine's kind of established is my consistency is found in my activities, like whether it's soccer or skiing or lifting or taking the dog on a intense hike or taking the dog for a relaxing hike. Like, I enjoy every part of it. I'm not grinding away in the gym 5-6 days a week like I used to, because there was an aspect that I didn't really enjoy. And now I'm just so much more present in my workouts and getting so much more out of my workouts because like less is more. And I'm sure you can relate too, because you probably have a lot of activities with your sports background that you still keep up with that is your workout.
Especially nowadays. Yeah.
It probably doesn't feel like a workout. You're just having fun with it.
Right. And working out is, we mentioned this before, sometimes it's not going to be fun. It's a daily task, but you have to have some consistent activities in there that are fun. And that's one of the things I wrote down from, the research is losing motivation and not seeing results is like a huge factor to this. Right. So then people just look at
demoralizing.
Yeah. They look at the gym as just, okay, this is what I have to do. But as you were saying, if you build in some outside activities, hiking, I do some hunting in the off seasons. I do kayaking, paddle boards when it gets nice out. There's all things I do that where you can see how your fitness can improve that stuff. And that stuff also improves your fitness. So it's not like just a one-dimensional thing. It's like, okay, you have to go to the gym. I think consistency needs to be built in like life programs. Like, what are you doing? Yes, you're working, and then you're going to the gym to work out in the week, but what are you doing on the weekends? Yeah. What activities, right? That is a huge aspect of kind of building together this healthy lifestyle that you want to start the new year with. And sometimes people don't, and it's hard not to. Yeah. And then you kind of fall in this loop of losing motivation. And I think losing motivation and seeing results quick enough is where people really start to fall off, and then they don't have the drive to keep going. You'll see most people will start and they'll get pretty good results within the first 2 weeks if they go off and hit a program really hard.
Yeah.
Then after those kind of first initial 2 weeks, it slows down. Once you get 4 or 5 weeks, it really slows and kind of can get to a halt depending on what that person's program is. And that's where it's very hard for people who don't know the science in the background of periodization programming. If they're going in and running on the treadmill 3 times a week for 8 weeks straight and they're only doing 3 miles, that's not going to get them there. And I can see where over time they're going to look down and be like, I'm not seeing any more results. I'm not feeling any better. I'm not seeing anything better in the mirror. I'm just going to stop. It's not working.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a little bit of kind of like a necessary process, because in a way the first place you start is modeling, right? Like Tony Robbins talks about how modeling behavior is like the most intrinsic way that we learn and grow as organisms, right? Like, they've done studies where, like, two octopuses in a cage, they put a lockbox in one octopus's cage, and it takes a while to open it up, maybe 15 minutes, but it figures it out. And then they do the same lockbox to the next octopus, and it figures it out in 30 seconds because it learned by modeling after the octopus that demonstrated to it. So it's a really common way to start. But then I think people forget bringing their individual side to it, in terms of maybe what their preferences are, or their specific goals, or the feedback they're getting from their specific body, or their habits, or their weekend habits. Like, maybe they're not super active on the weekend and they just want to. I've gone through this period all the time, especially in the wintertime, right? Like, I just want to sit on the Netflix and watch a good show, or read a good book or something. But I want to do that and not feel like I'm missing out on taking care of my body. So I'll work out heavier the day before, or work out maybe that week I'm going heavier, because I know that weekend I just want to chill and relax and sit around and eat food and recover. And that's okay, versus it being a position of being a couch potato, because that's your consistency. Your consistency is that you're stagnant so much. But before we go too much kind of into just one direction, I just also want to talk about some other aspects that play into, again, why New Year's resolutioners fail. This statistic's they can open up an interesting umbrella of topics too. Gym businesses expect the inconsistency, and they're okay with it. They expect that only 23% of people use their memberships consistently. And again, these are statistics that we've come up with from our research. So if you're a business owner and a gym owner, I don't know, like, as a trainer, I would want that person to be like a humanitarian, in terms of wanting the best for the general public, wanting the best for and best success for people, and wanting the people to show up, and wanting to build a community of people who want to stick around. But when you're riding on a business model that only 23% of your members show up consistently, then you're probably going to do things that incentivize keeping that number low, because that's what's building your business, and that's what is keeping the gym business successful. So it's not necessarily in your favor sometimes, these statistics, or none of these statistics are in your favor, but you got to think of that in terms of
I can remember there was a class in college. It was planning and implementing, fitness industry. And there's one section of the book, of course, the professor goes over it and is like, hey, this is the graph. This is what's going to look like. January is going to be up. It's going to drop down about May, June, July. Then it kind of spikes again. And it was just kind of like it's taught. And it's basically said, like, hey, this is what is expected. But you're right. If you have someone that's like, hey, we want to make sure that people don't fall into this traditional behavior pattern, which it's going to be hard to break because it's so consistent year over year. And that's what stats show. But right, like, they kind of know, like, hey, we're going to lose percentages of this. So, like, what can we do as trainers or coaches to help that 23% not go? Right? That is like an ultimate goal. Like, what can we do to have people not, or I should say, not stop going to the gym? So be consistent throughout the years, right?
Yeah, you confused me too, that double negative. Yeah. But I get what you're saying, right? How do you get those people to not quit? But again, then you come back to it, like, if it's that large of a statistic, then there's a lot of other things to factor in. And I think just trying to educate people on these shortcomings can help people find more success and figure out ways to keep themselves involved. And I think a lot of it comes down to, they pick one goal, and it's like this big goal, and it's like that finish line. And it's almost like going from couch potato to saying, I'm going to finish a marathon. And that's it. That's your only goal. So that's your only metric that you know whether you've hit your goal or not, is when you finish the marathon. And I think that's why having checkpoint or micro goals in a way help keep you motivated, but they also will expand as you hit some of these goals. You might say, my goal is to do one pull up. Great. Now you just did one pull up. What's the next step? Well, I want to do a set of 5 pull ups, and I want to do 3 rounds of those 5 pull ups, right? And then you keep expanding on that. I want to be able to do 3 sets of 10 pull ups, body weight, after all my back stuff. And it's like, that's a great way. It's a great staple to be like, I have a strong back. Even after using my back for so long, I can still sustain the strength for body weight pull-ups, for example. And I think it's almost like as your workouts expand, right? As your work of the day sort of progresses, or work of the week, the month, then so do your goals. Your goals also expand. And that's what this is, a journey. It's not about kind of hitting the finish line and stopping, because we've seen what that happens. People can do that in terms of like Drew Manning, fit to fat to fit. Like he's shown that you can do that. You can just get to a goal, be so happy, and eat in bad form and not exercise anymore, and you'll pack that weight back on.
And once you have that goal, you'll take your pull-ups. This is another area I think people get confused with, or they don't kind of progress, is if you're looking to do something or complete something, you're going to want to perform that multiple times a week, maybe multiple times a day, depending on the task, right? If you want to get good at playing music, playing the piano, you practice every day, each and every day. And this is where I see or talk to people that they'll be like, oh, I want to get good at pull-ups or chin-ups. So I'd ask, okay, how many times are you doing it a week? Or once or twice? And then I'll say, you should probably be doing it almost every day. And they kind of look at you confused, and they say, but wait a second, won't that make me injured, or won't that make me fatigued? It's like, not really. Like you're going to get a workout, but your body's going to be pretty resilient and recover. And if you're doing it every single day, you're going to get closer to your goal. And that's, an example. I think a lot of people start with an end goal, and then they're chipping away at it slowly, and they don't see results. So by week 6 and 7 and 8, their results aren't where they thought they were going to be. And then they're kind of like discouraged. And we all know when we get discouraged, we kind of, as humans, we kind of like back off and shut down and say, is it really worth it? Is it worth going through this? Where on the flip side, I think people can take a more aggressive approach and be like, hey, we're going to chip away at this thing quicker, multiple times a week. And that could just be running on a treadmill. It's just more like adding the consistency over time, and chipping away with it is a lot better for people than just once or twice a week easing into it.
And you can find different ways that you address your goal each day. Maybe your goal is weight loss. So you're trying to get, 5,000 steps in every day. And, the next day you add in kind of your mental energy and focus around getting a good, healthy dosage of vegetables in. Yeah. And I think kind of back to what you're saying, like about it being every day, is you have to keep that goal in mind, and building your habits and your new sort of behaviors have to kind of be thought of around that goal sort of every day. It can't be something where you say, well, I did 10,000 steps yesterday, so today I'm just not even going to worry about losing weight. I'm just going to go do whatever I want, have a cheeseburger, eat whatever I want. Like, I don't even want to focus on it. I don't even want to think about it. And I think that's where sometimes the stress of being so vigilant on yourself can lead to that unsustainability piece. And I think that's where the value of having someone else help you, whether it's a workout buddy or a friend or a trainer, to help guide you so it doesn't become overwhelming. Or you use a journal to help keep yourself accountable, but also, let yourself that peace of mind so you're not so hyper focused on it all the time. But I think a big piece that we do for people is being overseers. We can take what someone has done in the past. We can take what someone's done in the past, 6 months, 3 months, take what they want to be and where they want to go and help connect the dots and help establish a plan and a program that they can run with, and basically like a plan of action. And that's what we like to do with people too. And that's what kind of what we're our first thing that we're geared upon. If you go to our website, is it says book now, and that's just book now, a free 30-minute call. We feel like the first thing that we can do for people is give information, and that's the easiest thing to do. So, for what it's worth, if people are ready, feel free. We'd love to help people out. We love to see the wheels in motion, and so to speak, of watching the progression of someone kind of get the itch that they want to be better, or they want to have an endeavor, and then that slowly kind of builds and perpetuates on itself until the person's just on their own. And it's I don't know, it's probably as similar as watching like a kid grow up and learn how to ride a bike or something. It's rewarding to feel the impact of our experience and our education. And we don't want that to go to waste. And we know people are out there who have the drive, and we're just trying to help connect the dots for people. So that's my little plug, right? But I want to go back to a couple more statistics I wanted to bring up. I thought this was an interesting one. Close to 50% of people quit because of cost. And that makes me think of two things. One, they weren't using the equipment or the gym and their programming the correct way to really see the value out of it. And or two, they don't see the value. They overvalue the dollar and undervalue their health and their longevity and their body and their mind and their soul.
Yeah, the value is the big thing, right? Because I think a lot of people think it monetarily, and sometimes if you break gyms down, like sometimes it only costs like less than $5 a day. Other gyms, it's less than that to go there and utilize the equipment. But it's almost we want people to think about this investment is for themselves, right? What are you doing? Everyone has to go and get their car oil changed after so many miles. If you don't, you're going to wear down and the car is going to break. The human body is no different. So we want people to realize like you're investing in yourself and your health, your life, your longevity, your ability to have quality of life through that. In going to the gym, yes, a lot of people will think it's painful and it's time consuming, but you have to understand like that's what your body needs. It needs exercise. So I shouldn't say the gym, maybe just any physical activity. But if you're paying for a gym membership, you want to utilize it the most you can. And that's the end goal, right?
That's
so
probably
even if you're in there for an hour.
What people are doing.
Right.
Right. They're probably just going in on the treadmill, or they might do some weights, but they might not even be doing it properly. So they're not getting any results or getting any value out of the equipment. And they think, what's the point? This is a waste. When in reality, they haven't been basically accustomed to making it work for their lifestyle, or maybe they haven't adjusted their sleep and their nutrition and their stress management accordingly to see the results of all their work they're putting in. Because it's like a big wheel, and you got to kind of address different areas on the wheel until it starts to kind of rotate over, and then it starts to kind of gain momentum and builds upon itself. But you got to address all these different areas of, your neuromuscular system, skeletal muscular system, your cardiorespiratory system, your sleep and stress, your nutrition. All this stuff plays a role into that results piece. It's not just the gym side of things. It's not just the activity side of things. But
another thing I wrote down, kind of go along with this, was people who did group training, group exercise, were more likely to maintain a gym membership. And I also kind of wrote down, okay,
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it's like, okay. And then it kind of broke it down percentages. And then they said about 48% of people, they'll go to the gym for one activity, right? So we're almost 50%, half of gym goers are going to go for one activity. So as your wheel, you were saying, like, okay, we're going to go for the treadmill. That's it. We're going to go for group X, we're going to go weight training. That's fine if you're consistent with it. But as you add more activities, the percentages drop of people doing that. So it just shows that people want to be consistent in one activity when they go to the gym, whether it's with their comfort zone, what they like to do, what they're familiar with. I think that's what becomes a very problematic thing when we get in gym settings is, I know for you and I, it's what we do. It's a no-brainer. Other people, they're looking at benches, barbells, squat rack, bikes, and they have no idea what's going on. Even on some of the equipment, they have pre-programmed intervals and stuff. Most people might not know how to get there. That'd be like sitting me down in a Wall Street computer, be like, okay, here we go. I'd be like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here. Let me just do some basic stuff. Yeah. So I can see that, right? And it's
pick it up and start curling it.
Right. And it's always a lot more challenging. And I think that's why you get more renewal of people doing group training. So for a lot of people and people I've trained, I always tell them, find a training partner, find a training buddy, find a group of people in the gym that you can kind of converse with, maybe not train every day with, but they're there. The human brains likes social aspect and likes a little bit of competition. And we all know that you're in class working out and you're going to look across and see someone and be like, okay, I need to be a little bit better than that. It's going to go back and forth. Maybe not everyone, but I'd say a majority of the people are looking, okay, this person's really pushing it, so that's going to be able to push me. And I think that's a very good thing.
Yeah, another thing that makes me think of is we just recently started doing these ski lessons, and it's this learn and earn program where they give you a season pass and 3 lessons. And just experiencing that from a user side, I really saw the importance of it because they get you acclimated to the skis, they get you acclimated to the lifts, they get you. I remember feeling so rushed because why wouldn't they let me just kind of ingrain these habits in or work on this run more so I get really good at it before we expand to the whole mountain. But now I see, after experiencing it all, like they just wanted me to get the touch points so that I could feel comfortable approaching that side of the mountain or that lift or that run myself. And that's kind of the beauty of even just an assessment with a trainer and having them walk through, maybe introduce you to different equipment and introduce kind of its importance and how to make it work for you. There's a classic line of like, don't let the medicine become the poison. Mm-hmm. And I think that's can be equated to the gym because so many times can you use the gym as a negative stressor on your body, or it can cause bad movement patterns or soreness in different areas or lack of results. So make it work for you. And sometimes just getting the introduction to it, getting someone who can teach you about it goes a long way into your comfortability levels, into your consistency and the results that you get out of it.
And I get those every year. I get people coming in saying, hey, I'm probably not going to train, but I'm here for my assessment and session. And I just kind of want to learn. And I want you to tell me what to do differently than I've been doing. And for me, that's an opportunity. Like, okay, I'm going to give you all the information that you need to know to basically run a successful program. Yeah. And whether they, hopefully they absorb it. Our goal is that they understand, the premise of what they need to be doing. 3 times a week strength training, 2 times a week conditioning, or flip it, whatever their goals need to be, and make sure it's consistent. But I think that's totally fine. And it's not taken advantage of by people. We're always learning stuff. We're always learning each day. Before this, I was learning from a manual that I haven't picked up in a couple months. So it's like we're always relearning stuff. So there's not a bad spot to relearn something in the gym or something new.
It makes me think of 2 things I want to state before moving on. Is just it takes a village, and there's no stupid question, only the one you didn't ask. Because it's stupid that you just let it go to the wayside and you were too afraid to maybe sound dumb or sound stupid or ignorant and not get the right information so that you can do what you need to do properly. But so the last statistic I had written down was 56% of current gym goers dread the New Year's resolutioners.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting, but I think what it speaks to me is it says even the current gym members know the whimsical nature of the New Year's resolutioners, and they're
Absolutely.
so used to that routine because they've been consistently going to the gym for years that they've
Yeah.
seen human behavior in masses. And this is basically social psychology at its finest. And I think one piece that can also lead into the dislike is people not being open minded in terms of, hey, the gym is a place for you to work on yourself. And there's so many memes online or people who I've overheard just like sometimes making fun of someone who is at the gym. And it's like, hey, like the hardest part is getting up and being here. Give them credit. Like, I don't care
Yeah.
what
All
shape
right.
they're in. Like, give them a fucking high five, a pat on the back. Like, they're fucking here and they're fighting their good fight. And who are you at your point in your journey to judge them at their point in their journey?
Right.
So I think there is something about that statistic that makes me want to educate the current gym member, but then there's something about it that also makes me want to say, hey, New Year's resolutioners, don't let that be you. Don't let
Right.
that be the whimsical nature that you fell into the habit of. And also, I think there's also a piece of that is also gym etiquette. So,
Yeah. I think that's a part of it.
right,
Usually,
when you're new to the gym, you might just be a little ignorant to gym etiquette,
yeah. And I
and
think that's where a lot of people kind of get a little. Remember, the people that have been going consistently, they have the routines, right? So at 6 a.m., they want to be on treadmill number 3 in front of this TV. Come the new year, besides this year, they know that if they don't get there earlier by 6 a.m., there might be a New Year's resolutioner going, hey, I'm on treadmill this one and I'm doing it. So I see you can't really complain, right? Because you got to give
oh,
credit to that person who got up and they're saying,
yeah,
hey, this is what I want to be doing.
yeah.
And that's what's
We
tough.
just
And
and just you and I as professionals, we just don't want to see that person who got up and made that work for the first month. We don't want to see them fall off the
right,
wagon.
we wanted them to
So,
stay.
right, so we're giving them the foresight of like, hey, there's a fork in the road here. Make sure you're doing all the little things the right way too, so that you're going the right way.
And there's always in clubs when they're open, there's always an uptick in January, no matter what times. Like, oh, it's always a bit busier at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., even in the evenings. And my current clients will be like, oh, I don't really like the new year because of this, because it's just, there's more people moving around that maybe don't know what they're doing or don't have any guidance yet, where beforehand you're kind of used to this ebb and flow. It's just something that unfortunately we adapt to, but we know it's going to happen, right? We all know it's going to happen, but we want to keep pushing those people to keep coming back. I'd love to see a gym like that stay all year round. Busy, new people coming in, but it's interesting that people will find out that behavior pattern and know. And I think the new
Yeah,
year is one of those things that it's always going to be a driver of this, right? So like the end of something always starts something else. So like the end of a year, most people reflect back and look what they did, right? Just like the end of a school year, end of a course or exam, whatever you took. And you realize, okay, what do I have to do differently as starters? So the humans, I think human brains needs beginning and ends of things,
mm,
right? To help reset and restart. Because I don't think if it just went like December 32nd, people would just keep going on their patterns. But something flips and changes because there's a hard stop and something new starts.
we have to dive into
That's
that other
how I
topic.
look at New Year's resolutioners and people like uptaking, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to go to the gym. I want to get in shape. Whatever it is, they're going to do something different than they did last year. And I think
Mhm.
more so nowadays, because of the year we've had in 2020, I think people are going to look and be like, okay, I really need to do something different.
Yeah,
Life's not going to change, but I need to change within that life to make it more successful for me or for make my life better.
yeah,
I think it's always
yeah,
good, but we always want people to stick with it. You start a resolution, stick with it throughout the full year. You might have times where it's lulling, but don't forget your goals. Don't forget why you started and what was the end outcome that you want to get to. And if you slightly stop in April, start back up again.
yeah, yeah. And that's what, my key takeaways are just sustainability and consistency. Find your why, adjust your goals as you go, and have a dynamic routine that includes fun and play. And if you have any other takeaways you'd like to talk about, otherwise we can deliver the food for thought and call this a wrap.
I think that is a good place to wrap it right there. What you just said.
Yeah. Well, we'll end with our food for thought. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you guys next episode. But the food for thought this week is: the secret to change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And that was Socrates. Thank you very much. This is the Think Fitness Life podcast with Matt Gluckman and Eric Menchie. Have a good one.
If you're ready to make steps towards improving your health or increasing your performance, book a free 30-minute call today by visiting thinkfitnesslife.com.